In a world where we are more connected than ever, a threat looms in the shadows of technology. From malicious hackers and state sponsored cyber warfare to insidious malware and data breaches, threatening individuals, businesses, and governments around the world. Well, guess what I'm talking about? You guessed that right. Cyber threats, of course. And on that note, hello to everyone and welcome to Simplilearn. In today's session, we'll be discussing what are cyber attacks and various types of cyber attacks prevented these days. But before we begin, if you're into the channel and haven't subscribed already, consider getting subscribed in order to stay updated with all the latest technologies, and hit that bell icon to never miss an update from us. So let's get started with today's topic. Firstly, let us have a quick introduction to what cyber attacks are. Now, the rise of the digital age has brought unprecedented connectivity and convenience, but it has also introduced new avenues for malicious actors to exploit vulnerabilities. Cyber attacks encompasses a broad range of malicious activities where adversaries leverage technology to infiltrate, disrupt, or compromise digital systems and data. So in a nutshell, you can say it is a deliberate and malicious attempt to compromise computer systems, networks, or devices with the intention of causing harm, stealing sensitive information, or gaining any kind of unauthorized access. Now, having said that, with cyber attacks becoming more prevalent and severe, it has become crucial to address the cybersecurity skill gap and overcome the shortage of cybersecurity talent. So if you're interested in pursuing a career in cybersecurity and acquiring the necessary skills, then our postgraduate program in cybersecurity could be the right option for you. You'll gain expertise in defensive and offensive cybersecurity, digital forensics, ethical hacking, network security, penetration testing, and crucial domains with this internship program. Our comprehensive program offers a curriculum that encompasses a wide range of in-demand cybersecurity tools, hands-on labs, and greater practices. Throughout the course, you will embark on a well-structured learning journey, starting with fundamental cybersecurity concepts and progressing through asset and inventory management, offensive and defensive security to ensure your readiness for the industry. You'll also engage in multiple projects, allowing you to hone your skills and emerge as an exceptional cybersecurity professional. Furthermore, this course will help you learn comprehensive approaches to protecting your infrastructure and securing data in mitigation, compliance, and much more. So why wait? Hurry up and find the course link in the description box for more details. So make sure you check that out. Let us continue with our topic today. Now, so what is the motive behind cybersecurity attacks? Now that we know what cybersecurity attacks are, let's discuss the motives behind them. The digital age has revolutionized how we interact, work, and live. It has also brought new challenges and chances for victims. Now, the motives behind cyber attacks can be widely varied, and they often are driven by different factors, depending on the attacker's goals and intentions. So let us look at some of the motives behind cyber attacks. One of the most prevalent motivations for cyber attacks is financial gain. Attackers seek to steal sensitive financial information such as credit card details, login credentials, or any kind of personal data which they can sell on the black market or use to commit fraud and identity theft. Attackers encrypt a victim's data and demand payment for decryption keys. The second reason is industrial espionage. In the corporate world, cyber attacks are sometimes carried out to gain a competitive advantage by stealing proprietary information, trade secrets, and intellectual property. Competing companies and nation-states may target organizations to obtain valuable information and insights or for political or ideological use. Now, hacktivism involves using cyber attacks as a means of expressing political or ideological views. Hacktivists target government agencies, corporations, or other organizations to protect or raise awareness about a specific issue. They may deface websites, leak sensitive information, or disturb services to make their points, personal vendetta, or any revenge. Some cyber attacks are also carried out by individuals seeking revenge or retaliation against a person or group of organizations they hold a grudge against. And finally, cyber terrorism. Now, in rare cases, cyber attacks can be carried out as an act of terrorism to create fear, chaos, and widespread disruption. These attacks aim to cause significant harm to society and can target critical infrastructure such as power grids, transport systems, and much more. Understanding the motives behind cyber attacks can help in developing effective cybersecurity strategies to mitigate and respond to these threats. Now, how do cyber attacks happen exactly? Cyber attacks are orchestrated processes that aim to compromise the security and integrity of computer systems and digital data. Attackers gain information about their targets, such as identifying potential vulnerabilities, security weaknesses, and valuable data they can exploit. This phase involves passive techniques like searching publicly available information and active techniques like scanning for open ports on the target's network. So, regular security assessment and timely software updates, user awareness training, and implementing robust security measures are essential in mitigating the risk of these cyber attacks from happening. Cyber criminals are constantly devising their sophisticated techniques to exploit vulnerabilities in systems and networks, resulting in devastating consequences for victims. Understanding these threats and implementing proactive safety measures is crucial for safeguarding our digital assets and personal information. Here are the common types of cyber threats that we see today in no particular order. First on the list, we have malware. Malware encompasses various types of malicious software designed to infiltrate systems data, steal and disrupt operations, and gain authorized access. It includes various types of worms, viruses, trojans, ransomware, and spyware. Malware disguises itself as legitimate files or software used to deceive users and avoid detection. It can propagate through infected email attachments, malicious websites, or compromised software. Now, one of the real-world examples of this is in 2017, the WannaCry ransomware attack on thousands of computers worldwide, encrypting data and demanding ransom payments in Bitcoin. So what are the consequences of malware attacks? Firstly, data breaches and theft of sensitive information. Next, we have system disruptions leading to downtime and financial losses. And thirdly, espionage and unauthorized access to personal or corporate networks. So how can you safeguard or protect yourself from malware? Firstly, you need to regularly update your operating systems and software to catch vulnerabilities, and also install reputable antivirus, anti-malware software, and keep them up to date. Thirdly, exercise caution when downloading files from untrusted sources or clicking on any unknown links from the websites or internet. Finally, educate users about safe browsing practices and recognizing potential malware threats. Now, second on the list, we have phishing attacks. Phishing attacks are social engineering techniques used by cybercriminals to trick individuals into revealing sensitive information such as login credentials, financial details, or any personal data. Phishing emails often appear to be from reputable sources, including brands, social media platforms, or government agencies. They create a sense of urgency or fear to prompt immediate actions. So make sure you do not click any sort of unreputable sources of emails that you get from any kind of unrestricted resources. Now, what are the consequences of phishing attacks? Firstly, identity theft and unauthorized access to personal accounts. Secondly, financial losses due to fraudulent transactions by clicking unknown links from various third-party websites. And finally, compromise of sensitive business data and intellectual property. Now, in 2017, a phishing attack targeted Gmail users, directing them to a fake login page to steal their credentials. So make sure you stay away from all these malicious activities. So what are the safety measures you can take against phishing attacks? Firstly, enable multi-factor authentication from all accounts to add an extra layer of security. Now, the next trick is to avoid clicking on any suspicious links, as discussed earlier. So you have to train employees and individuals to recognize phishing emails and avoid clicking on any sort of suspicious links. Also, implement email filtering systems to detect and block phishing attempts. And finally, regularly update your web browsers to protect against known phishing vulnerabilities by installing some sort of antivirus system. Next on the list, we have ransomware. Ransomware is a type of malware that encrypts our victims' data by making it inaccessible until a ransom is paid to the attackers. This is a threat to individuals, businesses, and government organizations worldwide. Ransomware often uses strong encryption algorithms to lock victims' data securely. It may be delivered through malicious email attachments, compromised websites, or other nefarious means. Now, in 2021, the Colonial Pipeline in the United States fell victim to a ransomware attack, leading to the shutdown of operation and ransom payment to the attackers. So what are the consequences of ransomware? Again, financial losses due to ransom payments could be a huge factor, where you have to pay sometimes large amounts of money to the hackers. Then there's data loss and potential leakage of sensitive information. And finally, reputation damage to the organizations that experience the successful attacks of ransomware. So, what are the safety measures you can take against ransomware? Well, you could regularly back up critical data to an offline or secure location to avoid data loss. Also, maintain up-to-date software and security patches to protect against known vulnerabilities. Next, implement network segmentation to contain the spread of ransomware within the system. And finally, train your employees and individuals to exercise caution when handling email attachments and links. By conducting regular security audits, you can protect yourself from various kinds of ransomware attacks. Now, fourth on the list, we have DDoS, or Distributed Denial of Service attacks. DDoS attacks target online services or networks by flooding them with a massive amount of traffic, rendering them inaccessible to legitimate users. These hacks are typically orchestrated using botnets. DDoS attackers use multiple devices to create a massive volume of traffic, causing service disruptions. Attackers often exploit vulnerable IoT devices to build botnets. So, what are the consequences of DDoS attacks? Firstly, let's say downtime and service disruptions leading to financial losses. Secondly, damage to a company's reputation and customer trust. In 2018, GitHub experienced one of the largest DDoS attacks in history, with traffic peaking at 1.35 Tbps. In 2016, a massive DDoS attack on DNS provider DIN disrupted several major websites and services. And finally, server and website vulnerability. Now, diversion of attention from the actual attack to dealing with the aftermath of this can also be a crucial consequence, where if your server or website vulnerability has already been caused. So what are the safety measures against DDoSs? Firstly, deploy traffic filtering and rate limiting to detect and block malicious traffic during an attack. Next, utilize content delivery networks, or CDNS, to distribute traffic across multiple servers and reduce the impact of DDoS attacks. Also, regularly monitor traffic and set up alerts for unusual patterns indicating an ongoing attack. Invest in scalable infrastructure to handle sudden traffic surges and prevent service disruptions. So these are some of the safety measures that you can take against DDoS attacks and help yourself to protect against them. And finally on the list, we have SQL injection. SQL injection is a web application vulnerability that allows attackers to manipulate the website's data by injecting malicious SQL code into the input fields. This can lead to unauthorized access, data theft, or data manipulation. If the SQL injection is successful, the database might execute the attacker's injected SQL code alongside the legitimate query, granting unauthorized access to data, modifying or altering data, or even compromising the entire database. SQL injection exploits poorly sanitized user inputs in web applications, which can extract, modify, or delete data from affected databases. So what are the consequences of SQL injection? Well, unauthorized access to sensitive data, including user credentials and personal information. Secondly, data manipulation or deletion, leading to data integrity issues. Finally, disclosure of confidential information and compliance violation. Now, a real-life example of SQL injection is the 2008 SQL injection that was used to breach Heartland payment systems, resulting in a theft of millions of credit card records. So, what are the safety measures that you can take against SQL injection? Firstly, adopt secure coding practices such as parameterized queries and input validation to prevent SQL injection vulnerabilities from happening. Secondly, conduct regular security assessments and penetration testing to identify and address potential SQL injection flaws. Next, implement the principle of least privilege to limit database access rights for application users so that the hackers cannot easily dive into your database. And finally, stay updated on the latest security patches and updates for frameworks and applications. So these were some of the common types of cybersecurity threats that are prevalent through the world at this time. So let's see what we have at number 10. From April 27, 2007, Estonia, the European country, faced a series of cyber attacks that lasted for weeks. This happened when the Estonian government decided to move the bronze soldier from Tallinn Center to a less prominent military cemetery located on the city's outskirts. Unprecedented levels of internet traffic took down the Estonian bank's online services, media outlets, broadcasters, and government bodies. Botnets sent massive waves of spam and vast amounts of automated online requests. According to researchers, the public faced DDoS attacks. There were conflicts to edit the English-language version of the Bronze Soldier's Wikipedia page as well. Although there is no confirmation, Russia is believed to be behind these cyber attacks that largely crippled the Estonian society. Now let's move on to the next attack. December 23, 2015, several parts of Ukraine witnessed a power outage. This was not a typical blackout. It was indeed the result of a cyber attack. Information systems of 3 energy distribution companies in Ukraine were compromised. It is the first known victorious cyber attack on a power grid. It is said that here, hackers sent out phishing emails to the power companies. 30 substations were switched off, and about 230,000 people were left in the dark for about 1 to 6 hours. U.S. investigators believe that Russia-based hackers were responsible for this. Experts have warned that other countries could also be vulnerable to such attacks. Let's see what we have at number 8. In the year 1999, a cyber attack caused a 21-day shutdown of NASA computers. Unbelievable, isn't it? The hacker was none other than then 15-year-old Jonathan James. He first penetrated U.S. Department of Defense Division's computers and installed a backdoor on its servers. This allowed him to intercept more than 1,000 government emails, including the ones containing usernames and passwords. This helped James steal a piece of NASA software and crack the NASA computers that support the International Space Station, which cost the Space Exploration Agency's $41,000 as systems were shut down for 3 weeks. He was the first person to carry out a computer hack against the American Space Agency. Now let's move on to the next attack. In late November 2014, there was a leak of confidential data from the film studio of Sony Pictures. Information about Sony Pictures employees, their emails, copies of the then unreleased Sony films, future propositions, and other crucial data were leaked. This cyber attack was carried out by a hacker group named Guardians of Peace. So what did the hackers want? Well, they demanded that Sony withdraw its then upcoming movie, The Interview. This movie was a comedy storyline to assassinate the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Sony then decided to cancel the film's theatrical release due to their threats at a cinema screening the movie. It is indeed hard to trace the roots of a cyber attack. In this case, after evaluation, the U.S. intelligence officials arrived at the theory that the attack was in a way related to the government of North Korea. However, North Korea had denied the same. Moving on to number 6. In December 2006, TJ Maxx, the U.S. retail company, identified that 45.6 million debit and credit card details were stolen. This happened from one of its systems over 18 months by an unknown number of intruders. It was one of the largest ever cyber attacks, involving the loss of personal data. As a result, banks in the affected regions had to reissue and block thousands of payment cards. A group of hackers did this, Albert Gonzalez being the mastermind. The group was from Miami, the place where the TJ Maxx heist was believed to have originated. Reports said that the TJ Maxx data breach occurred because of weak web encryption at 2 of its Marshall stores in Miami. Next, moving on to our top 5. Let us see what we have at number 5. The year 2010 witnessed the discovery of the deadly computer worm Stuxnet. This malware's motive was unlike any other usual cyber attacks. It aimed at destructing the equipment the computers controlled. Stuxnet came with the deadly purpose of damaging Iran's nuclear infrastructure. It infected more than 200,000 computers, including 14 industrial sites and a uranium enrichment plant in Iran. Stuxnet initially spread via Microsoft Windows and targeted Siemens industrial control systems. Although it was discovered only in 2010, it is believed to have been silently sabotaging Iran's nuclear facilities. It was one of the first discovered malware that was capable of hampering hardware systems. It largely damaged the centrifuges of the Iranian reactors. This is believed to be a cyber weapon created by the U.S. and Israeli intelligence, although there is no documented evidence or acceptance by either of the countries. Now, moving on to number 4. In the year 2014, Home Depot was the victim of one of the deadliest cyber attacks. 56 million payment cards were compromised, along with 53 million customer email addresses stolen. This security breach happened from April to September 2014. Criminals were believed to have used a third-party vendor's username and password to enter the perimeter of Home Depot's network. The attackers were then able to deploy custom-built malware on its self-checkout systems in the U.S. and Canada. Moving on to number 3. As you might be aware, the PlayStation gaming system is one of Sony's most popular products. Unfortunately, in April 2011, Sony executives witnessed abnormal activity on the PlayStation network. This resulted in the compromise of approximately 77 million PlayStation users' accounts and prevented users of PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Portable consoles from accessing this service. This forced Sony to turn off the PlayStation Network on April 20th. On May 4th, Sony confirmed that personally identifiable information from each of the 77 million accounts had been exposed. The outage lasted for 23 days. Sony released almost daily announcements concerning the system outage. In the end, Sony is believed to have invested approximately $170 million to improve the network security, to investigate the attack, and to cover the expenses of caring for the consumers that had been affected. Now, let's move on to the next attack. In at number 2, in May 2017, one of the most dangerous cyber attacks took place. It was known as the WannaCry ransomware attack, caused by the WannaCry crypto worm. The victims were the users that used the unsupported version of Microsoft Windows and those who hadn't installed the new security update. This did not take place through phishing like other attacks, but through an exposed vulnerable SMB port. The attack originated in Asia and then eventually spread across the globe in a day. More than 200,000 computers were infected across 150 countries. The WannaCry crypto worm locked the users out of the targeted systems and encrypted their data. The users were asked for a ransom of $300 to $600, which had to be paid via Bitcoin in exchange for their data. This attack took a toll on both private and government organizations. It resulted in damages from hundreds of millions to billions of dollars. In a matter of a few days, the emergency patches released by Microsoft halted the attack. Also, the discovery of a kill switch prevented the infected computers from spreading the crypto worm. Security experts in a few countries believed that North Korea was behind this attack. Now, finally, let's see what we have at number 1. More than 2 decades ago, on March 1999, the Melissa virus, a mass mailing microvirus, was released. It targeted Microsoft Word and Outlook-based systems and created considerable network traffic. Melissa virus infected computers via emails. The email would look like an important message, but it was fake. If the recipient opens the attachments in the email and downloads the document, then opens it with Microsoft Word, a virus was released onto their computers. This would then mass mail itself to the first 50 people in the victim's contact list, and then disable multiple safeguard features on Microsoft Word and Microsoft Outlook. This began spreading like a wildfire across the internet. David L. Smith released the virus. The virus caused nearly $80 million worth of damages. It did not steal data or money. However, it caused havoc. Almost 1 million email accounts were disrupted worldwide. Agencies were overloaded, and some had to be shut down entirely, and internet traffic in some locations was slowed down. So with that, we've come to the end of this video on the top 10 computer hacks of all time. Do you agree with our list? If you're aware of other great, interesting computer hacks in history, do let us know in the comments section below.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.